One of the best part of my life was when I lived in Africa. Believe it or not, I would go back any day. At night, elder women, elder men would gather around a fire in their backyard. The doors were always open, especially in West Africa, in Mali, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Togo, Ghana. Most of the backyard door was open. You could just walk in, you could have tea with people. It was beautiful. So at night, everyone would gather around the fire just around the sunset time, and after supper, everyone would be listening to elders and their ghost stories. When I lived in West Africa, one of the stories they were talking among the group, the people sitting outside, it was the tribe in Central Africa in Congo. The old name is Zaire, and the tribe's name was Eloko. Eloko was a tribe that lived in the center, in the middle of the forest in Congo. And it's been said, maybe now it's changed, I don't know, but this story, what I heard with my own ears, it was about 10 years ago. And back in the days where cell phone towers, none of those were really, technology was as advanced as today. It's been said that no one made it to the center of this forest. And if ever anyone went, because they were curious, they were never found after that. The way the story of Eloko tribe goes is that when men of the village would go out to hunt, for weeks sometimes, they would be away from home. They would tell their wives, no matter what happened, do not open the door when you hear the bell ring. And what would happen is that all the men gathered together, the village would go in the middle of the forest for hunting, for whatever, providing for their families. Women were at home alone. And at night, they would hear doorbell ringing. And the story goes, Eloko people would actually make this beautiful, welcoming sound of a doorbell and approach the homes of their victims, because they had a nose to detect for female flesh, and they would follow the smell up to the door of the female, and they knew the women wouldn't open the door, so they had to charm their prey, they had to charm their subject, and it would work. They would pretend they had this sound exuding from their body apparently, and then the women would open the door, and that was it was done, because they had a way of hypnotizing their prey and made women cut off their body parts and feed it to them. The way Elokos were, the way I was told, it was that they had this, the way they were dressed, it was true to nature, where they lived in the center of the forest, and that was like their body was covered with leaves and grass and green, like their shoulders, like as if things are growing, because they had this like habit of just like staying silent, like a silent watcher on a tree or on a log for such a long time and watch their prey. Or so what that would do is that it made things grow on their body, leaves and grass and everything. I know it sounds creepy, but yeah, they were covered with their bodies with green, and they had a way of, somehow this sound, the ringing of a bell was coming out of their body. They were able to do that with their body. And that's how at nights when they would hear a small doorbell ringing, like a very soothing, soft doorbell ringing from far, everybody would go in the village would just empty and go inside and close the doors and windows. And anyways, that's the story that I heard in West Africa, talking about talking about the Central Africa, Congo, and how they were making children scared and afraid of being out too late, and if you hear the doorbell, don't open the door. I believe this is a myth, and I don't think there's truth to it, although I know there are parts in Africa there are no cell phone towers, there are no way of tracing anyone, there is no way of finding where was your last step to even send a search party after you. There's no way. You could not even get a chopper down there because it's just like covered up. Nobody could see from top, nobody could be finding their ways to follow your footprints. So yeah, there are parts of Africa up to this day that the legend said there's like people just disappeared, especially tourists. Like there's no record, there's nothing to be found from them. So this was the story I want to tell you. This was a local. There was also Tokoloshi.